racing, these drivers would have received a local time to slow down. So we wouldn't see what it is, but it's about 1 second there that Trojan would have had to give up, and that would have allowed Heikkinen straight past him into fourth. Now, remember, we spoke to Steve Up and Randy. We spoke to him pre-race for the interview, but even before that, he told us how drivers would do those dirty tricks in the real world too.
It's one of the unfortunate things with the layout of this track, especially coming off the banking. It's such a difficult it's going from nearly 4 or 5 wide potentially and ending up nearly 2 wide, and it's just such a tight sector of racetrack that you're going to make contact. Whenever you make one of those mistakes, you're going to do everything you can. It is a really difficult layout race, and the Joker lap, I will say, doesn't really help much either. It's a little bit awkward as Zelensky trying to chase down Tommy Hallman here in the closing stages and get himself a top 5 and represent VRS Coin and Sinsport. But it's a very difficult layout to race, Johnny. It's one that's a lot of fun to drive. It's honestly one of my favorites, but it's a very difficult one to race side by side, as the fight for the podium spot might be on here soon, as Heikkinen seems to be tracking down Fenalosa.
Yeah, we saw Zelensky there on screen. He was just ahead of Josh Fox in the Williams eSports car. Josh Fox will not walk away with a championship lead. It looks like the way that everybody is finishing at the moment, Sami Trojan should reclaim that championship lead from Johan Harth, who did not make the feature race today, nor did John Robertson. Mitchell de Jong not in attendance for today's event. So big racing for these guys right now in these final few laps right now. Oh, and there's a positive sim racing car into the wall. That's Daniel Matrani potentially handing the final podium position to the Finn of Joni Heikkinen. They're going to be alongside each other here to begin the penultimate lap, and it looks like Heikkinen should seal third position.
Good move there by Joni Heikkinen, just opportunistic, got up the inside, no contact involved with that one as they're on the penultimate lap here. Now can Sami Trojan maybe follow his teammate through, as Daniel Matrani has not had the speed there in that car on the pit lane for the second and final time through this long right-hander. You can really see how the car is straightened out. They're not nearly as sideways as they were earlier when the track was fresh, but white flag this time. Otto Taskinen will see it. He's already in towards 1 and 2. Logan Clamp is going to see it now. These drivers are side by side. It's a big shove from Sami Trojan as they head towards, and Sammy's going to take the Joker on the final lap.
Yep, Trojan through to the Joker. Now let's see if he claims fourth position. He does. That demotes Daniel Matrani to fifth, but it doesn't matter for Positive Sim Racing, because this 25-year-old Finnish driver of Otto Taskinen. Now, I drove for Positive Sim Racing in 2014, and I have to say, I can't contain my excitement. It's great to see the team and Javier Alvarez, team owner. They'll celebrate this for years to come. Otto Taskinen wins round 4 from Lucas Oil Raceway.
And P4, they're the pileup. They were 4 wide off the hairpin, and I think it's going to be Bobby Zielinski, who on the final lap goes from 7th to 4th after everyone in front of him gets into each other.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Feature race winners to begin our first 4 rounds in 2019. It's time to find out if we make it 5 from 5. Welcome along to ISM Raceway, located in the virtual Phoenix, Arizona, and it hosts the 5th round of the 2019 Thrustmaster iRacing Rallycross World Championship, with all coverage on your beloved RaceSpot TV, streaming live on the iRacing Esports Network. Welcome along on any associated platform that you join us, whether it's Facebook, Twitch, or anywhere else, of course, around this Phoenix. 1.2 kilometers, of course, 0.7 miles, very similar to many of the rallycross circuits we run. It includes 9 convoluted corners. Now, the lap begins with a high-speed tarmac section. The jump and joker located towards the middle of the lap. Now, the interesting aspect about this circuit is that the joker is entirely tarmac, and in the final sector, entirely dirt. And that can always cause some harem-scarum during our races later on today. Of course, lap times will be registered around that 33-second range. Now, the joker delta is something to look out for. It's about 3.5 seconds in our early heats and can be as quick as 1.5 seconds later on during our feature race today. Good afternoon, everybody. Jonathan Simon on hand in the commentary booth alongside Connery Maddock for the first time this season. And, of course, special guest Cabot Bigham behind the scenes. Hugo Luis, our producer, of course. And Connery, welcome to Phoenix now for the first time in 2019. And, of course, it's the third time, though. First time we visit this track in 2019, but the third time we run it in our Rallycross World Championship. Our previous winners, Joni Heikkinen and Johan Harth, but with Mitchell de Jong returning to the series today after a 2-race absence, he'll be looking to make himself a new winner to that list.
Of course, Mitchell de Jong having won in this season already, taking the race win, or the feature race win, round 2 at Daytona. But coming into this one, no one has been able to do the repeat here in terms of the feature race wins. We've had Sami Matti-Trogan win, we've had Mitchell de Jong win, Johan Harth and Otto Taskinen, but no one else has been able to get to their name. So maybe this one will change this week out.
And Cabot Bigham is our special guest this week. Welcome along, Cabot, the Big Ham Bigham, of course, as you are branded. And you yourself race, of course, for the Andretti Rallycross team, and you were also 2016 GRC Lights champion. Welcome to the virtual world yet again.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, it's great to be here.
And you, of course, have plenty of real-world racing experience, as we see, but you're also an avid iRacer. So, simulation racing for yourself, it can be a training tool at times.
Yeah, certainly. No, I think that was the biggest step I made in my career, was a proper race sim for my iRacing. And it really helped me in allowing me to stay behind the wheel for the 3 to 4 weeks between races, and just really working lap after lap to work on your reflexes, etc., your vision. So that it's been incredibly helpful for me.
And I check your Instagram feed, of course. Follow Cabot at Follow the Ham, of course, on Instagram. And you've taken this so seriously. You've got a notepad ready. You've been ready for rehearsals with us and everything. And I mean, that's what I like to see out of our real drivers.
Oh yeah, I know. You can't go wrong with real notes. Put that pen to paper and see what you can do.
Of course, you'll be supporting rookie Garrett Maines in the series. He runs the #1 Beetle. And how have you been collaborating with a young 18-year-old? Because being a rookie, and you've known it as a young driver yourself, it can be quite daunting in a world championship.
Yeah, certainly. So I occasionally call Garrett and just check in with him, do some debriefs after every weekend. We typically have a big email chain going back and forth between events, where we discuss what we want to do, whether it's tuning the vehicles or hosting extra sessions to get that little bit of extra pace. Whatever we can do to become faster is what we're looking forward to. So it's been amazing working with Garrett. He's an amazing driver, and I have a lot of faith in him, and he has so much potential still. So it's really been exciting to work with him.
Now, the good news, ladies and gentlemen, this week is that Cabot Bigham will be joining us for the entire broadcast, of course, today from Phoenix, round 5 of 9 for the championship. And it's time to look at our championship standings for the season so far. And here they are up on screen. Now, Connery, Sammy Matty Trogan reclaimed that championship lead after what was such a chaotic round at Lucas Oil. But for the likes of Johan Harth, he's shown that he's almost the quickest driver we've seen in 2019, but still 50 points off the lead.
Yeah, so need to be making that up. Well, that points margin seem a little bit less by the time we're done with the racing here today. Of course, we have Joshua Fox currently in that P2 spot in the standings, and for a driver that hasn't even secured themselves onto the podium yet in a feature race, that is still a very, very good points amount of points to be on. Top 5 finishes, yes. Top 3 finishes, no. Hopefully that one changes from Josh Fox's perspective, so he can get his championship challenge going as well. Joni Heikkinen in P3 after a fantastic finish in round 4, getting himself the second step on the podium, as things are starting to heat up a little bit in terms of the championship.
Exactly it. And Cabot, of course, Mitchell de Jong, who's in 9th place at the moment, is someone you're ever so familiar with. He was also a champion in the lights cars, and he's a driver who, I mean, you surely have been impressed by his sim racing success. I think he's been definitely one of the top sim racers in the world since 2014.
Yeah, certainly. I remember racing Mitchell very well. He was with Red Bull at the time in GRC days. I think this was probably 2016. And he was incredibly competitive in the car. He was always, challenging for the podium, which was very admirable from a rookie supercar performance side of things. And then just to see his success in the sim world has been unbelievable as well. And he's really kind of came into his own in this in the sim world. So I'm very impressed with what he's done both electronically and at the track.
Yeah, and Mitchell, of course, with his other commitments, will be hoping for a bit of luck on his side to climb himself back up the order. Have you been in a position, Cabot, where you just don't make a feature race, as we've currently begun qualifying for round 5? Have you ever not made a feature race in the past? Does that cost you a lot? Because that's where the most points are on offer.
Yeah, it certainly does cost you. If you're going for the championship, you really have to get points at every opportunity available. And I actually experienced that quite a bit this year in the ARX season. I missed the first 3 main events, and that was really costly in terms of points. So I'd say even if your car's damaged, and even if you really don't want to finish second, you want to finish first, just do what you can to get the points to guarantee a spot into the final, because that's a much better play in the long haul.
Most certainly. Now, the first times of the day are coming on board at the moment. Our timing screen's just broken for the day. But Tommy Hallman, Connery, is a driver who crosses the line at the moment into second. Now, remember, he started round 1 from 10th in the feature, ended up on the podium, and had an opportunity to do that last round too. But for Mitchell de Jong now on screen, he's a driver who certainly needs a good qualifying performance.
Yep, really does, of course, taking the last couple of rounds out in terms of his participation in this series, but now he's back and looking to put up a great performance indeed. It's just coming towards the end of the lap right now. Getting the traction down onto that dirt relatively comfortably across the line he goes, and it's a 36.0 for him, and that is more than good enough to get him into first in qualifying here today for the driver of the number 24 VRS Quanta Sim Sports car, and that is almost a tenth of a second faster than what Bobby Zelensky was able to manage. So Mitchell de Jong coming in with a very big impact.
Now I'm just having a look at Johan Harth, because the Frenchman is definitely been our quickest qualifier this season, and there he is on screen. Should have had the championship lead last round, but we know what happened in the early heats. Now that was actually an outlap, so let's follow him here, Cabot, through this first sector. Now Phoenix is such a challenge, definitely the most challenging jump of the season.
Yeah, no, certainly. This track is very interesting with these long duration entries into turn 1 and 2 here, and then even the very finicky dirt section in the back that leads into the Joker merge. A lot of opportunity to put it off here, especially as the track wears. I know that there's a significant time drop at times when the track wears poorly, and that can be upwards of 1 to 2 seconds.
And have a look at that lap time from Johan Harth, a 35.9. What did I tell you, Connery? Quickest qualifier of the year. And that ART Subaru Winter Experience car looks ever quick.
Yep, the only driver to dip below 36 seconds here in qualifying, and right now it doesn't quite look like anyone's going to join him just yet. But there we go, Mitchell de Jong. Just as I say no one can join him, de Jong sets himself out at 35.934. He gets himself back to the top of the pile, but it's instantly replied. Johan Harth now taking that one, so it's now trading things back and forth there for pole position at this moment in time. Who else is going to be on a lap here is the big issue. We have Kevin Carlisle heading his way through right now for the number 72. He's currently way down the field, P17 in qualifying. Can he improve? Doesn't look like he's going to be able to in that particular instance, but Sami Matti Trojan across the line gets himself a top 5 here in qualifying.
Yeah, and Trogan's had some impressive pace for sure, as we still watch Carlisle on screen. There's Trogan just following in the same section. Trogan races in the FIA World Rallycross Championship, Cabot. Is that somewhere... Have you been interested in delving into the international universe?
Yeah, certainly. Actually, the past 2 years, my goal has been to race in World Rallycross, and overall, my goal is to have a world title. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yep, and there is qualifying all done and dusted. Well, we're ready to head to the heats for the first time. And there is your grid up on screen. So it'll include the Frenchman, Johan Harth. Bobby Zelensky, will he be our 5th different feature race winner? How about Logan Clampett, the American, alongside our newest feature race winner of Positive Sim Racing's Otto Taskinen? Then it'll be Danny Matrani, Kevin Carlisle, Marcos Matamoros, and Phil Diaz. Now, welcome along if you're joining us on RaceSpot TV. And I just want to say, if Randy Cheneth is watching, get well soon, mate. Hopefully see you again next week. He's feeling a little bit crook today, so he's unable to join us. But of course, as usual, it will be a 5-lap race. There'll be one Joker available to all the drivers. Only our top 2 will head to the feature. The lights will be ready to illuminate anytime soon. Let's wait for them. It's Johan Harth, Connery, where he's just bailing on the grid right now. He's keeping everybody nervous, the pole sitter. There he is on screen. Ready to go for round 5. Engines rev. And we go green from Phoenix for the first time. And look at the brilliant getaway from Zelensky on the outside line. Just having a kiss with the barrier there. And how about Otto Taskinen with a brilliant getaway? Clampett's demoted to 4th at the beginning. Everybody begins to form up. Your top 3 head to the Joker. And I believe I saw Kevin Carlisle join them.
Yeah, absolutely. So a bit of a split here in terms of the Joker decision early on. You can see that great shot at the back as those Jokering drivers right now lose the time that is required as you go down onto that alternate layout. But it's only going to be a matter of time before the rest of them decide to head that way right now. It's Johan Harth leading this one from the front of the field, from Bobby Zelensky, from Otto Taskinen there as your top 3. Kevin Carlisle P4 at this moment in time, and as they go over the jump once again there. This is a good start here from Johan Harth. He hasn't really been challenged. He's gotten that gap up to around about 0.7 of a second already, but P2, P3 still very, very close indeed, as we have Logan Clampett. He's hit the wall there on the outside. That is absolutely horrendous there for Clampett. You have to be so careful.
And remember, this is the first time we've visited Phoenix with the new modified Joker lap. So there it is. The wall has been extended on the exit, and it's already caught our American of Logan Clampett unaware. Now, the problem for Logan Clampett here is, Cabot, is that he's taken to the Joker, and all 4 of them in front of him have also taken to it.
Yeah, certainly. This would be the point in time where he really needs to push, be consistent, and have a quick pace. That way, as soon as an opportunity arises, he can really go in for a move here. Otherwise, these guys are going to start walking him here as there's more contact.
Oh, goodness me. That's 2 positive sim racing drivers. There's a lot of harum-scarum going on in the final sector. How about the switchback on Zelensky? I'm not sure if that... Was that Taskinen? No, it was Danny Matrani. Just bizarre action here into the first corner, and somehow Connery all clean.
Yes, Falanosa, or Mitani Falanosa, very deep into the corner, and that just allows Zelensky to dive straight underneath him and able to gain the position back there, side by side between Taskinen and Carlisle, though. Look at the leaning going on there, coming towards the end of the lap. They'll still remain side by side as they head their way across the line on towards lap number 5. Now into turn 1, Carlisle will lead, but here comes the bold move from Taskinen down the inside.
Now remember, they will not advance to the feature at the moment, but this is still important for grid position in our consolation races. For Hearth and Zelensky, though, I mean, it was, if you remember 7 days ago, those two collided, and it was day done for them. But for the moment, Hearth will win Heat 1. He's straight through to the feature. Zelensky the same. Marcos Matamoros with Joker on the final lap is collected straight into the bollard, and he goes from a potential 3rd all the way down to 7th there at the end. And Cabot, I guess a little bit of argy-bargy in Rallycross didn't hurt anybody.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Matamoros taking that Joker very late on, ends up in big contact coming towards the checkered flag.
Yeah, of course, our Heat 2 grid will be up on screen for the moment, and it'll include Mitchell de Jong, Dami Matty Trogan, of course, an all-star grid, including Tommy Horman. But if you look at the start there, it does bottleneck quite a bit, Cabot. What are your tips here for turn 1?
Oh, well, that's a tough one. You really just got to keep your eyes down the road here. I mean, it's such an interesting, the camber up top and how it really just funnels down to the tight right-hander there. You just need to avoid contact to the best of your ability. I'd say if you're caught on the outside, you're usually kind of going to get worked over in turn 3. So maybe find that way up the inside line and just secure your spot.
Well, the lights illuminate for Heat 2, and let's see if anyone can listen to Cabot Bigham this time round, because I'll need to keep it clean here for Heat 2. Trogan on the outside line. Oh, he's not going to give this up any easy, the Finn. This could be personal here between himself and de Jong. A little bit of contact behind with, that looks like, is that Garrett Lowe? Yes, it is, in the CBDMD car. Couple cars to the Joker. Now, interestingly there, Sammy Matty Trogan did not take to the Joker on the opening lap.
Yeah, Mitchell de Jong from the race lead. He decides to take the Joker lap on the first lap here. He is joined by a couple of drivers, but not as many as we perhaps saw in that first heat race here, as we quickly get ourselves onto lap 2 of this second heat. Mitchell de Jong leading from Holman, from Matt Adams, as we see Sammy Matty Trogan then right on the back of Adrida Perez there. And now he takes the Joker very last minute, almost hitting the back of his competitor, but now is his time to take that alternate layout.
And I don't think he's going to feed out in front of Mitchell de Jong unless he's got rockets on that Subaru, and he's definitely fallen in behind him. How much are you pre-planning, Cabot, those Joker laps, because at the moment, if I'm Sammy Matty, I should have Jokered on the opening lap with Mitchell.
Yeah, frankly, the best time to do your Joker strategies is in the paddock. But typically that's where you do all your thinking. And I know I've spent upwards of an hour just discussing strategies for one race. So I know you may not be allotted that amount of time here, but there is quite a bit of thought that goes into it, especially as you're driving.
Yeah, but now remember, if you're new to the series, you can see who's taken to the Joker at the top of the screen. As I say that, Tommy Horman's turned around, and the Finn will rejoin the race from the last position. Oh, goodness me. There was the replay on screen for those who missed it, and he was just shoved out of the way, wasn't he, Connery?
Yeah, it was Garrett Maines in that number 1 car that just showed him the bumper, going through that very long right hand on the dirt section in towards the end of the lap, and it's so unfortunate there that contact had been made, but we will continue on. This battle going on for P3 right now. This is Garrett Maines versus Garrett Lowe, so it's the battle of the two Garretts here with 0.4 of a second between them. Lowe not really able to make all that much progress right now, but he has a lap or so to work with if he wants to get himself a little bit higher in terms of the standings here.
It's not going to matter, though, apart from grid position for the consolation races, because as we know, your top 2 will head to the feature. That will be De Jong and Trojan for the moment. What an all-star cast that is, heading to the feature. But the Battle of the Garretts, you know what? I haven't met many Garretts in my lifetime until I've come to Rallycross. Let me tell you that. Let me tell you that much. Mitchell De Jong will come home and win Heat 2. Trojan will follow behind and head straight to the feature, of course, confirming that. But not the end of the day, Cabot, if you're Garrett Mains or Garrett Lowe, because you still have that grid position for the consolation events.
Yeah, certainly. And I just want to point out, the start, Garrett had a fantastic move up the inside, and I guess he was probably listening to me.
Yeah, exactly it. So Garrett, well, one of the Garretts at least, listening to Cabot Bigham, of course. There are the results on screen. Unfortunately for the V-dub of Garrett Mains, he will head through to the consolation along with Mr. Lowe. Now, where did Holman end up at the end of the day? He was last, but it's time to look at our Heat 3 grid. It's already time to race, and it's Williams Esports' Josh Fox in the first position. John Robertson will join him for the ART Subaru Winter Experience car. And then the rest of the grid includes Parisi, Bobby Sant Jr., Joni Heikkinen, our 2018 runner-up, and then Zadzon, Gesmeyer, and Nathan Lyon. Now look out for Nathan Lyon. He's yet to make a feature race this season, so he'll need a good result here from the heats. We go green for the final heat of the day. Robertson screaming off the line is the Brit. He might even edge ahead of the American here. Oh, but he gets a huge tap behind there. It looked like it was one of the set cars of Heikkinen possibly tapping the Brit. And God, there's an abundance of contact here on the opening lap. Through to the Joker are, of course, Josh Fox, Sant Jr., and Joni Heikkinen.
Yeah, big contact there with Robertson, but he's somehow able to hold on to it. He's made a bit of an error, though, coming through the dirt section right now. A bit of door barge in there. Connor Parisi, he's able to work his way through. Nathan Lyon also looking to make an impact in that VW Beetle as well. So it hasn't really been a great start here for John Robertson as he starts to get cycled back.
We're right on board with Lyon, as we said. Lyon yet to make a feature race this season. Quite bizarre compared to what we saw from him in 2018. He just hasn't had the best of 2019 campaigns. Now through to the Joker he goes. And it looks like a street circuit on a road course, doesn't it, Cabot, with this new modified Joker?
Yeah, certainly. I actually really like the new modified Joker. I think that there were some issues in the past where people found an extra tenth or two going way offline. So now that that's been eliminated, it seems like the racing's a bit better.
Now through the first corner, there's Gesmeyer in the V-dub, battling with the other Beetle of Nathan Lyon. Alongside each other are the two here heading to the jump, and they'll have to form up. Smartly so. Goodness, Connery. I thought Nathan Lyon was going to land on top of the other Beetle.
That was so close, and now he has to try it around the outside. The long right-hand Gesmeyer has the advantage on the inside, able to squeak his way ahead, but the 47 just hounding the back of his fellow competitor. There we go. Big impact there. Nathan Lyon deciding he wants to have a bit of an altercation with the tires.
And he's officially a DNF. He's had to park that car. It's unable to be restarted, but he now leads our field this season in terms of did not finish as Nathan Lyon. It's been a 2019 campaign to forget. Now, something we've missed off screen has been John Robertson's Joker. Here's the UK driver on screen. Now, this is critical, Cabot. He needs to make a move here on Bobby Sant Jr. to make it to the feature.
Yeah, definitely. He's got to be right on him. The best thing he can do is run consistent laps here and then try and get him in the back section of the track with an aggressive move on entry.
Oh, I thought he was going to go for it here into the middle section. But possibly, Cabot's right here. He could make it into these final few corners. So Josh Fox will look like he'll progress through. Robertson's got a peek. He's trying to go for the switchback. Oh, he's just going to shove Bobby Sant Jr. out of the way. Barges his way past somehow. And Robertson, I'm sure he'll feel a little bit disgusted by that by himself. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's just been the summary of Rallycross, hasn't it, for 2019. He'll be through to the feature. Sant Jr. will be livid as he heads through to our consolation events, but at the end of the day, Connery, not what we want to see there at the end of the day.
Yeah, that wasn't really great, and he might draw the ire of the stewards, so to speak, in terms of a post-race investigation, but those are results from that heat up on screen for you now as Josh Fox and John Robson secure their place in the feature.
Yep, and we already head to our first consolation race of the day, so we'll have 2 of these, of course, as usual. It will be the same format as our heats. There'll be 9 drivers in this field. Now, they were listed, well, they're going to be listed now at the bottom of the screen. It includes feature race winner from last week, Otto Taskinen. Took his first career victory in that number 99 positive sim racing car. His teammate, Danny Matrani, is also in the field. Now, for Joni Heikkinen, this is critical. Tommy Holman also critical. We're going to say goodbye to 7 of these guys. And we go green from Phoenix for the first consolation race. Oh, do I see 5 wide here in the opening laps? That was never going to work. That's a set car there into the wall. That looked like Heikkinen, and it looks like Danny Matrani's turned around on the opening laps, and now Holman turned around down the back of the pack. It was a concertina effect.
Yeah, big stack up there towards turn 1. Holman has to get himself spun back around. You can see Matt Adams towards the back of the field as well. Again, another split decision in terms of the Joker here. Parisi deciding to take it. Bobby San Jr., Philip Diaz similarly so in terms of their Joker strategies here on lap 1. Everyone's starting to string out already thanks to that first lap incident, but hopefully things get themselves back together as soon as those other Jokers come through. Garrett Lowe and Daniel Mitrani-Falusa looking very close indeed there, coming down up through the first sector as Mitrani looks to try and take the Joker, but he went quite wide there and almost ran himself into the wall.
That's Taskinen to the Joker. So Taskinen didn't take to it on the first lap, which I found bizarre. Now he'll reclaim the race. Well, he was going to reclaim the race lead. He's right behind Connor Parisi here for P1. These 2 need to remain composed. Bobby Sand Jr. and Garrett Lowe are hungry behind. But goodness me, right now, we could see Connor Parisi here get to his first feature race of the year, and I'm sure the nerves are packing on. We head through the final sector, and Taskinen there. Connery, I'm just had no idea why Taskinen didn't take to the Joker on the opening lap. Now, I missed it. If we able to analyze this after the race, unless he had no line to take it, he's now lost out the race lead and grid position for the feature.
Yeah, I'm just going to have a go back and a little bit of a quick look at it. He was free to follow Parisi into the Joker, as we have on the replay. Philip Diaz, big trouble there in the dirt section. That's a big moment for him. He's able to spin that back around, although he has lost a good couple of positions in this situation. There's the battle going on right now for P1 on circuit. Connor Parisi, Otto Taskinen. These guys, they can afford not really to fight in amongst each other. There's Taskinen. He's found the tire barriers. He might lose out on the feature race spot.
Oh, he'll be kicking himself. Our winner from last week, we could be saying goodbye to him here, Leon, and he'll lose a mammoth amount of points with an unforced error in the closing stages. Goodness gracious. An unforced error, Cabot, at the end of the day, not what you want to see from the Finn.
No, that was truly devastating, especially in these closing moments here, so I'm sure he is just livid with himself.
Yeah, so we'll see Parisi through. Congratulations to him. His first feature race for the year for the Jim Beaver Esports driver. He'll be joined by Bobby Sant Jr. Now, you guessed it, for Bobby Sant Jr., it's not his first feature race of the season. I played with everybody there, but he'll be through to the feature nevertheless. We say goodbye to Taskinen, Holman, Heikkinen, Danny Matrani. I can't believe it here, Cabot. We have an all-star cast there of drivers out already in our first consolation race.
Yeah, what a chaotic race start, to be honest. It was just 5 wide into turn 1 there. I mean, there was no good way to go about that.
Certainly not. Now, it's our final consolation race for the day. The grid's at the bottom end of the screen. And you can see Kevin Carlisle. He'll be gunning to enter his first feature since round 1. We'll see whether the Spaniards of Perez or Matamoros down the back of the order can find their way into the top 2 somehow. We go green for the final consolation race of the day. And it's already argy-bargy into the first corner. Two cars drifting parallel down the back of the pack. That looked like Matamoros. Oh, and some spinners down behind near the back of the pack. So one of them was Kevin Carlisle. Clampett involved too.
Yeah, absolutely. Carlisle coming up the big loser in terms of that one. Clampett had to stop the car as well. What has happened to him? He was involved in that incident with Carlisle. It's a big amount of carnage at the start of this race. So a couple of big names being taken out already, similar to the previous Consolation race.
Well, at the end of the day, Zadzon will lead. Now, you can see at the top of the screen, he's taken to the Joker. Matamoros the same, who started down the rear end of the field. To keep eyes on Garrett Maines here. Cabot, would you take to the Joker if you're Garrett Maines? He does. He's answered that for me.
Yeah, certainly this would be the time to do it. I know that he was just really wide.
Oh, Maines, sorry to interrupt there, but he made a complete and utter mess of that Joker lap. He hit barriers on both sides there. Somehow he is still able to come out with the race lead, but he has a very damaged Rallycross car. Here comes Matamoros then around the outside.
Yeah, so Maines could have easily had the lead, and now he's on two wheels through the first corner. That's insane, as Maines needs to just keep it together here, because he'll have a spot through to the feature. Does the Beetle go on two wheels like that, Cabot, in the real world? You drive the Beetle in iRX.
It definitely goes on three wheels. It's very good at tripoding is what I call it. Garrett's really wide here. That's not good. He's going to get totally worked out there on the outside in the marbles.
Yeah, and look at the action down the back of the pack. Now, Madigan somehow is taken to the Joker, and he's into the lead. Goodness gracious, Maines on his roof. Lucky it's virtual racing. Here's the replay, Cabot Bigham. Talk us through this.
Well, it looks like he just gets caught outside there, and obviously there's a lot of contact, which is him into that tire stack, and then there's nowhere for the Subaru to go, and he just backs it up into the concrete.
Oh, goodness. Lucky it's virtual environment. That's a big hit, isn't it? Concrete in the real world?
Oh, my goodness. I couldn't even imagine that.
Oh, man. We can laugh because it's virtual.
Yeah, exactly.
Another car up and over Cedric Isma. This is over the jump, just loses control. Altercation with the tire barrier, another car on its roof. What is it with this Consolation race and cars being on their roof?
Well, I mean, can I tell you something? I'm looking at Garrett Maines' Beetle down the back of the pack, and it looks absolutely done and dusted at the moment. Unfortunately for Cabot Bigham, I'm sure the tears will fly because that's his man on screen that we're seeing out of the event. But for Madigan, for Mr. Matthew Madigan, he's coming towards the line, and what a race it's been for him. He'll make it to his first feature race of the season. The same for Yorgi Zadzon. He'll make the feature race yet again. We'll say goodbye to the Spaniards of Perez and Matamoros. Now with Kevin Carlisle, at the end of the day, he ended up in 6th. Just saw my timing screen play up there, but now we head to our 2-minute warm-up, and Connery, time to take a breath. Goodness gracious, but a lot of big names making it through to the feature, a lot missing out, and that's Rallycross for you.
Yeah, some of these starts have been very, very interesting indeed. It's a very tight complex coming into that sort of turn 1, turn 2 section for the first time. We saw multiple instances, 3 wide, 4 wide, maybe even a 5 wide at some points. But the thing is, only so many cars can occupy the same space of track, Jonathan. And sometimes some drivers will lose out, some will benefit. It's all about positioning.
Now, Cabot Bigham, yourself, I know you were at Mid-Ohio earlier, about a month ago, was it? A month or 2 ago? And yep. I know I spoke to Josh Fox. Are you familiar with Josh Fox? Because he said you might not remember him, but he did say he bumped into you somewhere and you had a good chat.
Yeah, I think I spoke with Josh when Parker Smith, one of the event coordinators, was walking out around the Cooper Tires Combine drivers. So I definitely remember speaking with Josh. Really nice kid. Definitely very interested in racing Rallycross in the real world, as well as continuing his sim programs too.
Yep. Josh Fox, of course, racing for the illustrious Williams esports team, of course, in collaboration with the Williams Formula One team. Now, he drove the RX2 car. Have you ever driven the RX2 car? I know you're driving supercars this year. Have you had a chance to test the, they're similar to lights, aren't they?
The RX2 car I actually haven't had the chance to drive. I've only driven the lights car in the States. So I imagine they're very similar.
And of course, for Fox, if you had to, like, for example, we want to put a lot of these simulation drivers into real cars. Of course, I'll need a big fat check with them, of course, too. But if you had to give these drivers advice as they head to the real world, what would you say?
Well, I'd say definitely look at some of the rallycross schools offered in the United States, such as Rally Ready in Austin, Texas. You have Dirtfish up in Washington. We have the Firm over in Florida. So there's a lot of places where you can go and get dirt time and really start to pound away laps and realize how tracks change and learn how to read the roads. That's probably the hardest thing, is learning how to read the road through a rallycross event.
Well, that's the advice from Cabot Bigham, of course. Follow him at followtheham.com. Now, here is our grid for our final feature race for the day, and it includes Johan Hart on pole position alongside Mitchell de Jong, our 2018 champion. Williams Esports' Josh Fox will start alongside the other VRS Commander Sim Sport car of Bobby Zelensky. Then it'll be Sammy Matty Trogan, our championship leader, just ahead of Robertson, Parisi, Matt Madigan, Bobby Sant Jr., and Yorgi Zadzon. 10 laps of action, 1 joker available to the drivers. And we go green from Phoenix for the final time here for round 5. What a screaming jump by the American of de Jong, and he's already got the lead here. Johan Hart remains in second. Now, I know Johan may not take to the joker, and Connery, I spoke to him about that before the race. He said, if you see the leader take to the joker and I'm in second, I'm taking to the jump.
It seems like most of everyone else is, just, at least in the front couple of positions, there has taken to the joker. John Robinson, though, in the back of the field, he had a massive sideways moment, but he's still able to gather it up and keep going as we head our way to the end of the first lap here. Of course, it's going to be a matter of when Johan Hart decides to take that joker now after missing it on the first lap, deliberately so, if what he's saying is correct there, Jonathan. But does he do it now?
He has to do it now, otherwise he's going to lose too much time. Now, we know the Subaru doesn't have the best of pace in these track conditions. The track very worn at the moment. Fiesta's the best car to run in these conditions, but it's very hard to get that Fiesta to the feature race, if you understand the irony. He comes out in second, and Cabot Bigham, look at the lead for Mitchell de Jong. You can't even see him on screen.
Oh yeah, Mitchell's just putting in the consistent laps here. He's got no people contesting his position, so I mean, he's in a great spot right now. As long as he just keeps a little margin for error and doesn't bump into anything, he should be clear.
Of course, Cabot is somebody who's raced against Mitchell in the real world. Mitchell proving that if you're quick in the real world, these simulators are pretty accurate themselves. You can be quick in the virtual environment. Here is Sammy Matty Trogan. Let's listen to him. Well, Connery, if you ever loved a fat face of tires in your windshield, there you go.
Yeah, Trogan just getting a little bit of a scare there as those tires come up on him rather quickly here, but he's currently sitting in P4, and positions for the picking ahead of him. It has to be said, the race lead may be too far gone at this point unless Mitchell de Jong makes a mistake, but for Trogan, comfortable points on offer, podium finish perhaps, but he needs to pull off the passes.
Now at this stage, Trogan should still remain in a championship lead.
Oh no,
what's going on for Hart? Johan Hart spun around. Oh no. The young man, what's going on? I mean, let's have a look at the replay here, Cabot. Has he hit the tire bollard?
He does. He hits the inside left tire there, just barely. And on the replay there, it's hard to see, but he has a considerable amount of damage to the front of that Subaru.
Oh, I mean, you just could not script this, could you? He could have easily walked away with the championship lead last round. And now Connery, for Johan Hart, the 21-year-old, who was tipped to be definitely the most improved this year. He's got a lot of work to do now in this race. He's currently all the way down in the 9th position.
Yeah, and I've seen throughout this race so many unforced errors when it comes to those tire stacks, left-hand side, right-hand side, no matter which side they're on, coming through those final couple of corners. It's been catching out a good couple of drivers, and in this particular instance, it catches out the driver that runs in P2 in the feature race. That is so unfortunate there for Johan Hart. It was basically all on him. There was no one else around him, and just a single mistake on his own, and he gets cycled all the way to the back. That is horrible.
Now we're watching a nice scrap here between Parisi, Madigan, and Zadzon. Now remember, this is the first time we see Parisi and Madigan in a feature race, which is good news. There's the Nerdworks car of Madigan. How fun is that over a jump? How does that feel, Cabot, in the real world? Do you feel like your body's ejecting from basically your skin?
Yeah, no, that's actually the thing I miss the most in the off season is flying through the air in a rallycross car.
Oh, and that's there's a driver there that's slow. Madigan's taking some avoiding action. I think that looks like Bobby Sand Jr.,
Yeah.
Connery.
Yeah, he had a bit of a situation where there was a tire stack just bouncing across the track in front of him, and he actually had to cut the second tire stack, so that meant he had to get had to serve a slowdown penalty coming across the line down in towards turn 1. There's not really all that much he can do about that.
Seems like
man,
the pressure's
a bizarre
off.
event. Yeah, sorry, Gabbett, go on.
Well, it seems like the pressure's off Madigan a bit. Well, the Subaru definitely putting it up the inside here, no problems. There's a lot of contact there, though.
Oh, wow. I mean, I didn't think... Is Parisi even on the racetrack? He's just been shoved out of the way. Here's a replay. What's happened here? There's the 39 of Madigan. And, well, at the end of the day, Connery, Parisi, despite making the feature, will probably want to forget this one.
Hopefully Parisi doesn't get lost out there like Kimi Raikkonen at Interlagos. But he has been able to find the track and is back out there to finish off the last couple of laps. But battle for P2 though, Josh Fox and Sammy Matty Trogan, they went door to door just for a couple of moments there, coming up towards the final lap. Trogan trying to search for that second step on the podium. He might just get it, but where does he do it on this final lap? Oh, he locks up in towards turn 2 there. A very big wide line being taken, but Trogan still on the charge.
Oh, he's going to try and give a bump and run here. While these two squabble, we'll keep an eye on them and we'll keep the other eye on our 2018 champion, Mitchell de Jong. He'll be our first repeat winner for the series. The VRS Coanda SimSport driver wins from Phoenix. Josh Fox for Williams Esports joins him on the podium. Sammy Matty Trogan will not extend his championship lead over Fox, but will still keep it after a brilliant result for the SET Esports driver. The Finn having a brilliant rookie campaign in 2019. What an event for Bobby Sant Jr., who comes home in 4th. But at the end of the day, Connery, Mitchell de Jong is our first repeat winner for 2019.
Yeah, brilliant stuff for Mitchell de Jong. You know, returning from his little bit of a break, he returns to winning ways here in the Thrustmaster iRacing Rallycross World Championship. He hasn't finished off the podium in the races that he's run yet this season, so he's going to be a very, very scary prospect once we get into the second half of the season, that's for sure.
And burnouts for victory for the young American. We're just glad, Cabot, that for a virtual engine, it doesn't cost as much.
Oh man, yeah. The biggest thing I was worried about is breaking the diffs or the engine on a donut and then not being able to bring it into tech.
Oh goodness me. Well, it's time to look at our final race results here for round 5 of the Thrustmaster iRacing Rallycross World Championship for 2019. And of course, Mitchell de Jong, our first repeat winner this season, and his first career victory, believe it or not, at Phoenix. He had the abysmal races here back in 2018. One of those races included a very poor unforced error. Josh Fox came home in 2nd. Now, it's good to see Josh Fox bring himself, I think, the best result for his 2019 season. We'll confirm that. But Josh Fox for Williams Esports, 8 seconds behind at the end of the day, which goes to show how quick Mitchell de Jong was. Sammy Matty Trogan will retain his championship lead, better said, and he'll come home in the final podium position. Now, Bobby Sant Jr. and Zelensky end up in 4th and 5th. And then at the end of the day, a few other notable names down the order. Zadzon's our first Beetle. Madigan and the other Beetle ends up in 10th. Now, where was Hearth? Hearth ended up 7th at the end of the day. He didn't need to make that error, I don't think, Johan Hearth. I didn't feel like he could catch de Jong, who's just a bit too far behind for the moment. So for the Frenchman, the young man, he'll be back to, maybe not back to the drawing board, but he'll certainly be reviewing this race for the moment. Now it's time for post-race interviews for round 5. And of course, our race winner, Mitchell de Jong for the VRS Coanda SimSport team. Welcome, Mitchell, back to victory lane. And we missed you, mate, for the past 2 rounds. And now you come back, and now you come back to where you deserve to be. P1, back again, a good feeling for sure. We got you, Mitchell. You there?
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot how to push to talk. Yeah, no, thanks guys. Really happy to be back. Coming into this round, I had no idea where we stood pace-wise. I kind of mentioned to you, Johnny, yesterday that we're a bit limited on time to test, and I actually thought that we were pretty slow in a fresh track, so I was really stressed about qualifying. But honestly, this whole event just kind of went perfect. Like, I wasn't pole, but it felt like an awesome lap. It was a bit of a struggle in the heat in front of Sammy without losing time, but we just tried to not make any mistakes, and shoot, I can't believe it. Everything just worked out perfectly. No complaints.
I feel like the start for you in the feature was critical, because if Hearth ended up in first, I know he probably would have taken to the Joker, and that meant you probably would have taken to the jump, and that really could have, that would have changed both your races quite a bit, because he ended up making an unforced error later on, trying to push and chase you.
Yeah, absolutely. This track is essentially impossible to pass at, especially when the track gets worn in. So the start is critical. I knew that, we do get good starts. I had a bit of an issue in my heat race start, but we kind of survived that. So I guess it probably is the same for Johan in the final here. Maybe had a bit of an issue on the launch. So yeah, absolutely, like you said, it was absolutely critical. And yeah, it just kind of lets you do your own thing, run your race, and just like I said earlier, just everything worked out perfect.
Of course, Cabot Bigham is here joining us. Now, Mitchell, he's someone you've raced against. I'm going to let Cabot ask you a few questions himself.
Hey, Mitchell, long time no talk. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, see you as well, I guess. But no, yeah, I just wanted to touch base with you. I saw you were at Laguna Seca recently and doing a lot of stuff with the World's Fastest Gamer. How's that been, and how's that kind of contributed to your performance here?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. I was really hoping to do these last two RX rounds these past weeks, but was a bit caught up with World's Fastest Gamer. It was a really cool experience getting to do that, and it's definitely different cars, but it was a nice change to be on the real track and do some other stuff, and that's how it is. So we just got back on Wednesday and tried to practice as much as we could for this one. So
yeah, right on. No, that sounds great. And then a similar question that I was asked today, like if these sim racers really want to get some real track experience, what would you recommend? I recommended some of the Dirtfish schools and the Firm, etc., all these rally programs out here in the States, but do you have any other ideas?
Yeah, honestly, I completely agree with that. In the States, it's so hard with rally and rallycross of trying stuff. So pretty much like you just mentioned, that's definitely the best way. Otherwise, for other forms of racing, you can, do plenty of karting, which you're familiar with as well, and all that. So, yeah, completely agree.
Oh, right on. Well, again, congratulations, man. You really killed it.
Cheers, man.
And Mitchell, we'll give you a chance to all your thank yous and everything else. Who gets it done for you in that VRS Commander Sim Sport machine?
Yeah, big shout out to Bobby for helping out, and the other guys for wearing in the track so we can test these conditions, and Martin for being on the spotter stand, calling the strats, and yeah, my personal sponsor Red Bull, and all our team sponsors, Virtual Racing School, SimQuip, VTech, N-Word Design, and of course you guys, Race Spot for the broadcast.
I was confident, wasn't I, Mitchell? I told you we'll speak post-race, and we'll hopefully see you again next week. Welcome back to Victory Lane. Our next interview for the day will be Josh Fox, and he'll be stood alongside Connery Maddock.
Yeah, Josh, very, very good race for you today. It's your best finish of the season. Of course, your previous best was round 3, where you were able to pick up a 4th place finish, but finally you get yourself onto the podium in a feature race. Josh, just take me through how you're feeling.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's good to be here once again. Felt like there was definitely an opportunity to get on the podium
any one of the first 4 rounds really before today, but today I wasn't backwards or upside down on the first lap, so that was really good. So definitely good to get the finish, but a few too many mistakes let Mitchell get way far away there. A lot of pressure from Sammy as well, but I knew I couldn't let him by because of the situation with the points, and glad to stay ahead of him, but definitely got to cut down on the mistakes.
Just take me through what's so tricky about the sort of the last half of the dirt section where you have those barriers on either side, because we saw so many drivers actually inadvertently just graze those barriers or full on just go straight into them. Just what do you think was the problem there for a good couple of drivers that you were able to avoid?
Yeah, it seems pretty tricky with the way the dirt gets running. Pretty much you have to make a majority of your lap time get it done right in that section. And to do that, you have to be right in the middle of the groove, the most grip. And if you get just slightly half a tire with one way or the other, those tires break traction. The car kind of squirts around back and forth, left and right. And some guys, I saw that, they have trouble getting into the tires then, stuff like that. Super easy to do. I know I got a few tires and probably didn't make things too nice for the guys behind me. So like I said, I got to cut down on some of that stuff. But yeah, really tricky. Really tricky track, but certainly glad to get the podium finish here today.
You were challenged for those podium spots though, because we had Matty Trogan right at the end of the race, just really giving you a hard time, and you were having to put up the best defensive driving possible. Just take me through how you managed to negotiate that situation coming towards the end there. What made you come out on top?
Just trying to be smooth. That's the main thing, because the groove is so narrow that if you miss it by just a little bit, even going around that dirt hairpin there before the stretch to the line, you'd lose massive amounts of time, half a second or more. And that happened to me once or twice where I didn't get it just right, and it almost gave him a chance to get inside. So I was just trying to cut down on that, just try to keep it in the groove, keep it rotated well with the angle. Did a good job of that, I thought, most of the laps, but definitely needs to do a lot better to keep up with Mitchell.
Well, hopefully you're able to find those extra couple of tenths of a second for the second half of the season. Speaking of the second half of the season, though, Josh, you mentioned before that you were, at least in the first couple of rounds of the season, you always thought the chance at the podium was there, just ready and waiting for you to take it, and it only is until now that you managed to do so. So, more podiums coming towards the end of the season here, maybe?
Yeah, that's definitely the plan. Last year it was almost like a dream. It seemed like podium every week, but this season it is so much tougher. The talent pool is so much deeper. It's really an accomplishment just to make the race this time around. But definitely, yeah, I feel like if we can get through the first lap or first corner without being knocked around or upside down or something like that, definitely a good shot at it pretty much at any given week. But to run with Mitchell, that's what you need to do to win the championship. So that's where I got my eyes set toward.
So with this round in the books, is there anyone you want to thank as part of that team or helps you out in any other way to get that car on the track?
Yeah, for sure. It feels really good to finally get on the podium here for Williams Esports. They've done a huge amount to help me out here. Really attacked this season with the best capability. So I'd love to give a huge thanks to them. Got to give a thanks as well to Chill Blast Racing PC, BenQ, Team Razor, of course, Fanatec, Playseat, One All Sports. So many great partners there at Williams Esports, and definitely glad to make this more of a habit too going forward.
Well, there we go. Thank you very much for joining us, Josh and Jonathan. We're gonna, I guess, move on to yet another interview.
Yes, exactly, and it will be Matty Trogan who joins us at the moment, and he will retain his championship lead with a third place finish. And Matty, we got you.
Yeah.
And an awesome podium for yourself too, mate. And yes, Josh did finish ahead of you. He did crawl back in on that championship championship lead, but most importantly, with a good consistent result for yourself, you do retain the lead. How important is that?
Yeah, I think it's important to be consistent in this series, so that's good.
And for yourself, though, coming into this round, is Phoenix one of your strong tracks? Because I thought you had a good qualifying performance, but where do you think that pace has gone from round one at Atlanta? Because you guys seem to be untouchable at Atlanta.
Yeah, I don't know. We didn't get so good setup for this round, and I didn't have so much time to practice, so I think it was not that.
I heard next week at South Africa, you're going to be racing in the FIA World Rallycross Championship for the final round. Are you apparently going to bring your entire sim over with you to South Africa to race?
Actually, I found one guy who has simulator in South Africa, so I will go race for him simulator. So.
That's awesome. I think I love you forever now. It might be one of the best stories. You know, Mitchell did that last year. He went to the Sim Expo, and I think they had a sim set up for him and Jorn Jens. But he didn't go too well, so hopefully you can go well next week.
Yeah, I hope so, yeah. I will practice it if I have time, so...
Exactly. You just got to get comfortable with that sim. Who gets it done for you for the SET Esports team and anybody else?
Yeah, thanks for my team for the help, and thanks to my sponsors.
So, of course, there's Sammy Matty Trogan, who Connery, of course, will be in South Africa next week for the final round of the FIA World Rallycross Championship. And for him, it is going to be a chaotic week, just trying to get used to the sim more than trying to drive in the real world.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those topics that we talk about when we, when we have the odd LAN event here and there where everyone's using the same rig. You know, how can you adapt? But it's only going to be Sami Matti that gets himself that sort of experience. So hopefully things will go well for him. You quite rightfully mentioned that Mitchell de Jong had to do it during the simracing expo, but Trogan looking for a little bit more luck with the different equipment there. But we will be getting ourselves a look at the points in just a couple of moments' time here, Jonathan.
Yeah, most certainly. Those points will be up on screen at the moment. There they are. And you can see that while we're looking at the USAC points. All right. Hey. Let's try that too. Oh, goodness. Cabot Bigham, welcome to a virtual broadcast here on RaceBot TV. We do things perfectly. We'll have the points up in just a moment's time, but I can confirm off the top of my head, Cabot, once we have those points, there they are. Sammy Matty Trogan remains in the championship lead.
Yeah, it's definitely impressive. I haven't had the opportunity to meet Sammy, so that's a shame because I really do enjoy the Finns and their accents. I'm a huge Kimi Räikkönen fan. But no, that's fantastic. Josh Fox sitting P2 with 341. Very close behind. He can still do something to get in the lead there.
Most certainly. Josh Fox, who crawled back in on that championship lead on Sami Matty Trogan. Now, if you're wondering where Stelian Chepalevsky was today, the Bulgarian had some tech issues before the race. Now, he was trying to let me know, but we were all hectic trying to get into the broadcast, so you can see how hectic it was for him behind the scenes. I think he gave up on just registering it for the race. He was just unable to attend, and unfortunately, that was his day done, Connery, and that is a lot of points he's going to miss out on.
Yeah, especially for someone as so competent, so potent as Chepalevsky, losing a whole bunch of points which could have so easily been gained for him in this race, especially considering how close the championship still is right now. So yeah, that was definitely going to hurt him. He still has a couple of rounds that he can recover things towards the end of the season here, but it just does make his life a little bit more difficult. So needs to pull out all the stops coming towards the back half of the season, and I'm certainly looking forward to it.
And these 600 horsepower rallycross cars will be back racing again for the next race on the 9th of November. You can see the schedule on screen. We head to Iowa for the first time this campaign. It was such a hectic event, wasn't it, there in 2018. We had two races there, and one of them we saw Garrett Lowe, of course, winning on the final lap of the race. It hosts round 6 of the 2019 Thrustmaster iRacing Rallycross World Championship. Now, coverage will begin at 5:45 p.m. GMT as usual, of course, on RaceSpot TV, streaming live on the iRacing Esports Network. Now, visit racespot.tv and, of course, iRacing.com for more information on upcoming events. From myself, Jonathan Simon, Connery Maddox substituting for Randy Cheneth. Get well soon, Randy. And, of course, our special guest, Cabot Bigham. Follow him, of course, at followtheham.com. Of course, a play on words on his last name, Big Ham. So give him a look there. Follow him on his social channels, of course, too. And our lovely Hugo Luis behind the scenes in production, replacing the ever brilliant Paul Smith. And of course, our entire RaceSpot TV crew. This has been a RaceSpot TV presentation broadcasted on our associated platforms. We say so long from Phoenix. Our winner today, Mitchell de Jong, our first repeat winner for the season.